Hey, what's up, guys? Here on the Fire Sports Pod, where everything we got is hot. I'm your host, Zach Jackson. We're going to be going into our show for you guys today here on Season 7, Episode number 24 on the Fire Sports Pod. We are powered by StreamYard, where StreamYard makes the dream yard go. So let's get right into the show I have for you all today here on this Friday afternoon. Um, Man, the NFL draft round one was just intense, crazy, and just a lot of things did not go some teams' way. And a lot of folks that were fans of some teams were pretty disappointed from last night's draft. So we're going to be going into those details in just a sec. If you guys were familiar, last week we did a mock draft, or this Monday we did a mock draft of, last week we did a mock draft of the NFL round one, and we kind of didn't really pan out as well as we thought it was going to be. But let's get right into what happened last night in the NFL draft, just recapping the picks and stuff like that. So let me share my screen for you all so that we could check this out. And that's the only segment that we're going to be going over today, which is just recapping the NFL draft round one and where we think Shedeur Sanders will end up for today. So as we all know it, if you guys weren't available to watch it, you guys probably already know now. Cam Ward went number one. I think that was a no doubter. After the last couple weeks, everyone was saying that he was going to go number one. He's the right fit, I think, for Tennessee. Obviously, we know Will Levis is there. He's going to compete with him, but Cam Ward's going to win that starting job, no doubt. So Cam Ward will be the eventual starter for the Tennessee Titans. I would give that an A minus, A plus pick for the Titans. I think this was definitely the right pick for Tennessee, just at the time that they had it. Now you move down to number two, and that's Travis Hunter. Obviously, Travis Hunter was probably the best prospect in this draft. He could play both offense and defensive side of the ball. Yes, I do agree, Bethany. Matthew Golden is a great pick for Green Bay, no doubt. But yeah, Travis Hunter for me. I think this was a shocker that Jacksonville traded up with Cleveland to get him. I thought he was a lock to go, and they actually traded with Cleveland, and that was pretty much a shocker. And that kind of just paved the way to see how Shedeur would go. Obviously, we knew it was a potential that he could go to the Giants, but the Giants surprised a lot of people and took Abdul Carter. To me, I thought they was going to go with Shedeur, but a lot of people at the last couple minutes were thinking about either Travis Hunter if he dropped or Abdul Carter. I thought Abdul was going to Cleveland, but I guess Cleveland was like, hey, we're going to go defensive tackle and we're going to drop to number 5. Just doesn't make sense for us. I don't agree with that realistically. I thought that the Browns should have went and picked up Abdul Carter. I think he was the right fit to be on the opposite side of Myles Garrett. I think both of them on the same defense would be absolutely impossible to do any offense when you got those two monsters coming at you. But they went the other route. I mean, the Giants got a monster guy to go with Thibodeau. So this is going to be a pretty good defense coming into next year on the line. We'll see how well he goes in for the Giants. Nick, I'm not so sure. I mean, we'll see if he does, but right now, it's looking like he could potentially fall to the Seahawks, but I wouldn't bank on it. Will Campbell goes to the New England Patriots. A lot of people who were Patriots fans and just fans in general thought that Travis Hunter was going to get to the Patriots if everything would have went correctly. Like, Cleveland would have stayed and picked Abdul Carter, Giants would have picked Shedeur, and then Travis Hunter would have fell to the New England Patriots. But once Jacksonville traded up, I think everyone kind of knew that Travis Hunter was going to go to Jacksonville. I think it's a good fit for them. Abdul Carter, like I said, I think it's a great fit for the Giants. I just thought they were going to go quarterback. We will see later in the first round, they went with Jackson Dart. I will let you guys know what my thoughts are on that. But Will Campbell, I think, is solid offensive tackle to help out Drake May. Obviously, he's a second-year guy. He played pretty good last year for the Patriots. They had some good talent. They just had no wide receivers. Now they have one in Stephon Diggs. So it's going to be pretty cool to see how well their offense rolls in with another year without Bill Belichick. So we'll see what happens. But I think Will Campbell was the best offensive lineman on the board, and they took him. He was the first one off the board. So Will Campbell's definitely the guy from LSU, definitely a bona fide star there. Mason Graham for the Browns. This is where they traded. I mean, I don't know. I guess they wanted to go with defensive tackle since the edge of Myles Garrett is. I mean, they have Myles Garrett, another big monster. But if you were going to go defensive guy, I would have stayed at your pick and got Abdul Carter. But they got more picks in the later rounds, so I think that's what they were heading for. Maybe to get a quarterback to help out with the difference, the not knowing, the unknown of Deshaun Watson. If he is going to play this year or is he going to be out for half the year. Now, Ashton Jeanty at number 6, ladies and gentlemen, I think was a fantastic pick for the Raiders. Because why? They lost Josh Jacobs to the Green Bay Packers, and they just replaced him, and he potentially could even be better than Josh Jacobs and Ashton Jeanty. Obviously, as a Cowboys fan, I wanted to try to see if he could fall to that 12 spot. They had us in the beginning of when the mock draft started to pick Ashton Jeanty, but then as everything started to come up, Ashton Jeanty went all the way up to that top 6. And I think the Raiders got a gem of a running back to pair with Geno Smith. He's a play-action guy. He needs that running game. When he has a good running game, he is able to flourish as a quarterback. And I think that is going to be a recipe for success for the Las Vegas Raiders. Not to mention you have Brock Bowers as the tight end. So it's going to be pretty cool. Then you have Armin Mabua, Missouri offensive tackle, going to the Jets. I think this was a great pick for the Jets. Obviously, there's some other big names that they could have picked, but they went offensive tackle. Probably the second best to the third best offensive tackle in this draft. Obviously, we already had Will Campbell off the board. I think him and Kevin Banks Jr. was another great offensive tackle. And then I think the Cowboys offensive guard was Tyler Booker, which we'll get in a second. But I think those 4 guys were really bona fide. This draft was one of the best of the offensive line. So we had offensive tackle go to the Jets. Obviously, Justin Fields needs that. He was with Chicago. He's one of the most sacked quarterbacks coming into the league. And then with the Steelers, again, getting a lot of sacks. So definitely did the offensive line to shore him up, obviously to help him so he can run outside the pocket, get around, make some crazy throws. Be able to do that. Cruz, appreciate the follow. Thanks again, brother. So yeah, I think that's a great pick for them. Obviously, they need to protect Justin Fields. They didn't do that for Aaron Rodgers last year. Aaron Rodgers was one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league, and he was 40-something years old. So they definitely need to preserve Justin Fields. And I think Justin Fields, a little bit more mobile quarterback, will be able to pair well with the Jets offense and their weapons that they have around them. Now we have Tatori McMillan from Arizona. This was the wide receiver I wanted the Cowboys to pick. I'm going to get to the Bears in just a second, Cruz, so just stay in here for just 2 seconds. I thought McMillan was going to go to the Cowboys. He literally fell 4 picks before that. I really, really wanted the Cowboys to pick McMillan. That was the guy that was going to be opposite of CeeDee Lamb, man. That would have been one hell of a duo in the NFL. I mean, I saw one of these catches where he went 360 in the air between his legs both times and came down to the ground and caught the ball. Like, he is a bona fide star, but he's going to the Panthers. Obviously, the Panthers probably wanted to go either defense, offensive line to really help out Bryce Young, because that was pretty much a bad rep last year. Their offensive line was atrocious, but they went with wide receiver to get him another weapon. You pair him with Adam Thielen, and then the running game with Bryce Young, and they have a pretty good offense coming into this season. I just would have asked as them, but you can get an offensive line, you can get those guys, but I think obviously as a Cowboys fan, I wanted them to McMillan, but I think that's a great pickup. You get a better another offensive threat to help out Bryce Young, and then you'll be able to work around like the defense and the offensive line a little bit later in the drafts. So I think that's a pretty good pick. Kelvin Banks Jr. was literally a curveball. I thought the Saints were going for Shador. Ben, I'm going to do the Giants in just a second because I'm going to talk about Jackson Dart. But I think the Saints, literally, I thought Shador was going there all day. They went offensive tackle with Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas, which is not a bad pick. I just thought they were going Shador. Everyone was saying Shador's going at 9, and I thought that was going to happen. But they decided not to. Maybe they'll pick something up in the second round. Who knows? But that was basically when the Saints didn't pick him up, it was the last person left was the Steelers, and they went a totally different route. And then the Giants had a second pick in the first round, and I thought they were going to go with Shador, and they decided to go with Jackson Dart. So a bunch of stuff went on. Now, I think it was Cruz who asked me about the Bears. Yeah, the Bears with Colston Loveland from Michigan, tight end. I think that's great. I mean, a lot of people were thinking about Michigan's tight end to go first. I mean, not Michigan. Who's the other tight end? I think it's Penn State. Penn State's tight end to go first. But they went with Michigan. I like Michigan's tight end a little bit better than Penn State's, just a slight bit. And I think he's going to be pair well with Caleb Williams. Their offense is ridiculous right now. They got the offensive line set. They have the wide receivers set. They got the quarterback. They got the running game. And now you add the tight end. This is going to be one hell of a high-powered offense. They just need to execute, and they need to make sure they are able to have a cohesive unit on that offensive line, because if they're able to keep Caleb Williams from being on the ground and moving around in that pocket and making him have an easier time to throw the ball, the sky's the limit for the Bears. Their defense is getting better. They need to shore up a couple more things in the draft, but I think they're really poised for a good run next year. Possibly the playoffs. I think if they didn't have that bad streak, they would have had the playoffs. I had them with a much better record than they were last year. I mean, they lost like 9 straight games, and 5 out of those 9 they should have won. They lost by less than 4 points each game. So I think the Bears are destined to do some really good things. And now at number 11, you have Mikael Williams from Georgia, edge, going to the San Francisco 49ers. They lost everybody on defense over the free agency this year. So they needed really to shore up to help out Bosa, which is getting older. I think this is a big pickup. Again, Georgia brings in these monsters: Alabama, LSU, Texas, Ohio State. So definitely having Georgia's Mikael Williams as the edge does wonders for the San Francisco 49ers. They get another young guy, which absolutely is perfect for Kyle Shanahan and their defense. I think it does really well for them. Now, Tyler Booker, the guy that goes to the Cowboys. Obviously, as you guys know, whoever sews into my live and follows the podcast knows I'm a big Cowboys fan, but I'm not more biased Cowboys fan. I wish we would have been able to pick McMillan or Genty, but we went with Tyler Booker, a offensive guard from Alabama who went under the radar. I did not see him coming. Maybe I just didn't do my homework as good, and that's on me. But Tyler Booker is a monster. That man is 6'4.5", 330 plus pounds. He is a beast on that offensive guard, and we're going to need his help, because our big-time problem last year was keeping Dak from getting hit and on the ground, and keeping our running game to be solid enough to get and break through tackles. And I think Tyler Booker is going to help us tremendously on that offensive guard. And Alabama's got that set. So I definitely think that Tyler Booker is going to do some really good things for the Cowboys. Now, Kenneth Grant for the Miami Dolphins. They're an interesting group. Obviously, I thought they were going to go offensive tackle, offensive guard, offensive lineman, but they decided to go defensive tackle. Obviously, their defense isn't as good as it used to be, but man, their offensive line is really atrocious, and they need help. So maybe in the second round and the third round, they're going to be doing some more things, and the rounds after that. But I think Kenneth Grant is okay for Michigan, but I would have went offensive tackle in this pick. Tyler Warren goes to the Colts. The Colts definitely needed a tight end. That was one of the big things that were missing last year. Obviously, we all know the thing with Anthony Richardson. Hopefully, he goes back with a bunch of other things, but I think that Tyler Warren is a monster for tight end. Obviously, I like the Michigan tight end a little bit better than the Penn State tight end, but I think the Penn State tight end is still one of the best, if not the second best tight end in the draft. And he's going to do wonders for the Colts and help out Anthony Richardson if he starts, because obviously we know what happened with Anthony Richardson last year, so hopefully he has a good camp and a good preseason, and maybe he'll be able to start and everything will be good to go, because he's a talent. He's got great talent. He's just got to get that head straight. We had CFB Daily. 49ers got a steal, and Mikael Williams, he should have been drafted top 8 or 9. Yeah, definitely. That's what I said. I think the 49ers got a gem of a defensive guy to go and pair up with Bosa, because they did lose a lot of their picks. FG77. I will be doing my picks after my podcast, so stay tuned to that. for the NHL and the NBA playoffs today. Now, we had Jalen Walker of Georgia going to Alabama. CFB Daily, appreciate the follow. Georgia going linebacker, going to the Falcons. Yeah, the Falcons defense really needs help. Definitely in that linebacker position, which is basically the leader position. If you guys don't know, Cody, appreciate the follow. If you look at at a defense, usually the quarterbacks of the defense is the linebackers, and I think that helps them out. But I think still they have a good, again, if you get somebody from Georgia, Texas A&M, Ohio State, Texas, Oregon, sometimes Michigan, Georgia, you got some gems of guys. Usually on the defensive end, those guys are pretty good. So definitely got some dogs there. So I think Jalen Walker is a good pickup for the Falcons. Walter Nolan from Ole Miss, defensive tackle for the Cardinals. Cardinals are lacking a lot of stuff, including defense. I mean, offensive line is one of them, but we'll see what happens. Sherman Stewart, Texas A&M edge for the Bengals. They definitely need that. One of their worst things last year was because of the fact that they could not stop anybody, run or pass. So I think Bengals did a no doubt and pick somebody from the defense, especially on the edge, because they need to get some pressure. Because last year they had Hendrickson, and that was the only guy that was able to put pressure on the quarterback. Love the Harmon pick by the Steelers, even though they needed a QB. I don't know. I'm gonna get to that. CFB Daily. I'm gonna I like Harmon, but I don't like the fact that they're going into the second round with no quarterback. Eagles get a steal of the draft yet again. Yeah, I know. As a Cowboys fan, they do it every year. What do you feel about the Bengals? Yeah, I'm answering that question now. I think I think the Bengals got what they needed. I mean, obviously there was a couple other guys. Maybe they should have went with another linebacker, like the Eagles got Campbell. But I think they needed to shore up that edge, and they needed to shore up that defensive line, because their defensive line last year was bad. They could not get any pressure on the quarterback or stop really the run. So I definitely think that Sherman Stewart was a good pick out of Texas A&M for the Bengals. Gray Zabel, North Dakota State offensive guard. Again, the Seahawks, they got a guard to help out Sam Darnold. Obviously, with a good line, Sam Darnold, it could be one of the best quarterbacks statistically. Listen to what I say, statistically in the league, which he was last year. He's not in that category, but statistically, if you give him a good line, he could do some pretty good things. I am not so sure. You guys let me know. I'm going to get to Dart in a second and everything else that was crazy. Edebuke from Ohio State. My man, I'm a Ohio State Buckeyes fan, so that guy's one of my favorite wide receivers in Ohio State history. But do you guys agree with the Buccaneers to pick him at 19 when they have already re-signed Mike Evans and Chris Godwin? I don't agree with that. I think that they should have probably went offensive line or maybe defense to help out that. Not wide receiver. I just think that was just like not a waste of pick. He's a great pick, but you already have a slot receiver. You have a big time threat. So I think it's okay. It's a good pick. He's a great player, but I just think they should have went another route. Why would the Browns go Shador at 33 when the Titans and Houston are between their 36? KS6. If the Browns go Shador at 33 when the Titans and Houston are between their 36. I got to look at the second round, but if the Browns are 33, I mean, they could go with Shador there because of the fact that you don't know about Deshaun Watson, but I don't know. Jahad Barron, Texas cornerback. I think that's a good pick for the Broncos to shore up the guy next to Surtain to help him out. I think that's a great pickup. Now here comes the Steelers. Now this one I would have to disagree. Whoever says this is a good pick. I mean, he's a great player, but I think that they should have went Shador here. I think that was the no doubt. I just answered Brody about the Bucks. The Bucks to me, I think they should have went a different route because they already have Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, who's a bona fide bona fide wide receivers. So I really think that they should have probably went another way, but they went with a wide receiver to shore up that offense. Now that offense is ridiculous. I mean, you got Ibuke, you got Chris Godwin, you got Mike Evans, you got the guys in the backfield, you got Baker Mayfield. It is probably going to be pretty crazy there. So I mean, it's a win-win. It's a win or loss depending on how well they do this year with him and what they could have gotten in the first round that they missed on. Now Derek Harmon again. I think they should have went Shador for O-line or DB next pick. I really think that the Steelers should have went Shador here. I think this was a no-brainer. Even Ryan Clark was like, "What the hell did they just do?" But it is what it is. I think they could get Will Johnson in the second round? Yeah, if that's the Bucks, I definitely think. 3 broken hearts. Appreciate the follow. How do you feel about the Giants? I'm getting to that in a second. I mean, I'll just run. I think Matthew Golden for wide receiver from Texas is a big time move for the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, they were in Green Bay last night. The first time that Green Bay picked a wide receiver in the first round, so it was pretty cool before their president was stepping down after this year. Amarian Hampton, North Carolina running back, number 22, I think was great for the Chargers. They definitely need a running back, a guy that's young, also that could stay somewhat healthy and not be like not like worry about the guy like tearing his ACL because they've had they've had so many other people. So there's definitely certain things that that they could do there. Now Donovan Jackson, Ohio State offensive guard, Vikings. Like I said, if they're gonna go with JJ McCarthy, they definitely need that offensive line. They had a good one last year. At the end of the year, kind of broke down a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. Number 25, you had Jackson Dart. Now, obviously with the Giants, right? The Giants. I don't know, man. I don't know what you guys think about it. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people are not high on Shador. I don't know why. I know Jackson Dart played in Ole Miss, a pretty crazy conference, but I'm sorry. I would have took Shador. I really would have took Shador. You had the benefit of the doubt. You were able to get Abdul Carter, the best defensive guy in the draft, and then you could go again. Dom, that is my opinion. You can have yours. I think they should have went Shador. Jackson Dart, you think you could say he could be better? I mean, I've watched a lot of Ole Miss games, and I've watched a lot of Shador, a lot of Colorado Boulder games. There's similarities. He's too cocky, but guess what? Who's his dad? Like, you guys got to understand, I don't think it's cockiness. I think it's confidence. I think it's confidence. I don't think it's cockiness. I mean, Dion had that when he came into the league, and everyone said really the same thing, and he came out and said everything else. Again, it is my opinion. You guys can have yours, but I think that would have been the right route. But again, I could be wrong, and for Jackson Dart's sake, I hope he is. Again, that is MetLife, that is New York football, that is the New York media. So it comes with a price to hold, and I think Shador could handle it a little bit better because he's got that moxie, he's got that confidence about him. Jackson Dart's got the same thing, but again, I mean, you guys understand, like, Shador had to go through 7 different offensive coordinators. He's got to do 2 different teams. He had to do from one conference to another conference. So, like, there's a bunch of stuff that he is. Again, Wyatt, you could say he's too cocky. I think it's confidence. But again, you guys have your opinion on it. That's fine. Sanders isn't better. If you look at, again, it is what it is. But wouldn't you say Dart is much more mobile? Again, I could say, Dom, that Dart is a little bit more mobile. He's a little bit faster. But I do think that I think Shador, with the offensive line that he had to endure at Buffalo and be able to complete and have that turnover ratio that he had with that offensive line, with the competition that he played, I think shows how well of a accurate / non-chance guy he is and where he could throw the ball. I think that has something to do with it. Josie, appreciate the follow. And that's why I like Dom. I like Shador because he's more accurate. He's able to put balls in places where a lot of quarterbacks in this draft, other than maybe Cam Ward, really can't put it in. Because that's why Jalen Milroe not a first-round pick, because his accuracy is not as good. He's a beast. He's like a Cam Newton with a little bit of a better a better arm. But again, you have different reasons why. Exactly, Austin. Dart is that you took the words right out of my mouth. Darth is a better athlete. Shador is more pro ready. Thank you. When do you think Shador will get picked? He's getting picked in the second round. I can just go right here off a limb, guys, and just look up the second round because I haven't looked at the second round for the draft. So let me just go into that. Um, uh, so let me go to the second round. And then I get it, Austin. I just think a lot of people cannot handle that the problems with being in the New York atmosphere, and I think that is really the big problem there. Now, Cleveland, this is round two. Cleveland is at number one. There's a potential. Obviously, we all know Houston's not going Shador. Tennessee is not going Shador. Cleveland's got a 36 and a 33. They legitimately can go whatever route they want. Obviously, we know the Raiders are not going. The Patriots are not doing it. The Bears are not. Then the Saints are at 40. I don't think Shador drops to 40. If I'm being honest, I think he goes to Cleveland. I wouldn't be surprised if Cleveland picks him either at 33 or 36. Again, I don't know. I mean, obviously, the Saints are there at 40. I don't know if he drops that low, but if you look at all the other teams, all the other teams don't need quarterbacks here. Like literally, every team that we're going down the list does not need a quarterback. The only team that needs a quarterback right now are the Steelers and the Browns because Deshaun Watson is unfamiliar. Rams, yes, for the future, you could say, but I don't think he's dropping to 46. I'd be very shocked if he drops to 46. I mean, when does the Steelers have a pick? I would assume round 3, they would have a pick. They have a pick at 83. There is no way Shador is dropping to round 3 at 83. Not even close. He's going in the first couple picks in the second round. There's no way, Wyatt. Yeah, he's definitely going to Cleveland. It's either 33 or 36. I think they're going to go 33. I don't think they would because remember they have there'd be a chance of moving up and trading and stuff like that. So I think he definitely goes to 33. It's not even a question. What do you think the Broncos are going to do in round 2? What pick did they pick at? Browns pick at 51 and 19. Well, they have their quarterback. They picked a guy, I believe. I forgot who they picked. They picked the cornerback to help out Satan on the opposite side of the field. I think they probably go with try to get a wide receiver. To try to help out Sutton because they need another wide receiver on the opposite side. Maybe they try another wide receiver to see if there's one out there. Josie, you think Pats can get linebacker 3? You think 49ers will get Will Johnson? TY, I think Will Johnson could potentially get to the 49ers without a doubt. I mean, they're at 43, pick number 11. So I think of the second round. So I think they could definitely get there. It just depends if anybody needs him. Do you think Cleveland will pick Will Johnson after Shador? That is potential. I would not be surprised if they go Shador 33 and 36 Will Johnson. Again, that is a potential. I could lock that. If you wanted to lock that in, you could lock that in. That is a potential, and I think that's smart. I think the reason they went Dart is because Dart is similar to Allen, and Dable developed Allen. That is potential, Dom. That's a good point. I didn't think about that. I didn't know about that. That's very similar. I didn't even think about that. Josh Allen, Dart, very similar build. Yeah, very similar. I get that. I could see that entirely. But I just still think Shador's more accurate, more pro ready. He's dealt with being into different coordinators multiple times. He had 7 different offensive coordinators in the span of his college career in both Jackson State and Boulder, Colorado. Then he also had to change 2 different conferences from a shitty conference in Jackson State to go one of the biggest, not a big conference, but like he went to the college football, the big time where he played Oregon, where he played different types of teams. USC when Caleb Williams was there. He played those guys. So that's where I think that maybe Shador should have been picked. But again, it is what it is. Browns going Shador and Burden, possibly. I think the reason they went, okay. Who Bucks picking? Where the Bucks pick? Bucks pick at 53. I think they definitely got to shore up that offensive line and maybe that linebacker. Probably the cornerbacks. Cornerbacks, offensive line, and maybe defensive line. They can go with on Tampa Bay. And see what they can go with that. Tate for Houston. Cards getting Trey Harris. I think the Saints trade up and get Sanders. Again, Josh, that's another thing. Like, they could definitely do that. I mean, they're at the 40th, I believe, right? Where are they? They're at 40th. They would have to trade up with Cleveland. Cleveland's already got a second pick, 2 picks in the first 4 picks of the round. So that's definitely a possibility. What time is it at? That's a great question. I have no idea. When does the second round start? It starts at 7 or it's at 5. Someone said 7. It's at 7 right here, guys. NFL Draft second round will begin at 7 on April 25th. Jalen Milroe to the Rams, yes or nay? Wyatt, that's not bad because we all know Matthew Stafford's getting older. I could see him in the Rams with Sean McVay. That would be pretty crazy. That would be a pretty good offense right there. I definitely see that. Big time see that. That's definitely a possibility. Just the way they are. That would be something. It's 5 p.m. for Cali folks. Yes, obviously 5 p.m. for Cali folks. Everybody on the West Coast is 5 p.m. and then on the East Coast it's 7. Ravens trade up for Will Johnson. The way the Ravens, and it feels like the Ravens and Eagles always get the right guys for their team every draft. It doesn't make any sense. It's funny. I appreciate the gifts, guys. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, this is pretty much that. I mean, this was to me, this was a very good first round. If you were certain teams, I was a little skeptical. CJS Bangers Rips, appreciate the follow. Sorry if I butchered that. Thanks for the follow. But yeah, guys, that would be. I think the Rams wait and get their guy next year in a stacked QB class because they have the Falcons first now. Jude, that's something that they could potentially do. I mean, Milroe's up there. I could say that Milroe might go to the Rams, but I could also say Milroe might go to the Steelers. He might drop to round 3. I don't think that happens, but there's not really a quarterback in need here other than the Saints and the Browns. So maybe the Saints go Jalen Milroe and the Browns go Shador, but there's a possibility that Milroe drops to round number 3 and gets picked up by the Steelers at the 83rd pick. I could see that happening, which is a possibility. So, Adrian R says Pickens is getting traded tonight. Ooh, interesting. Shador dropping to the 3rd? Nah, Shador's not dropping to the 3rd. I would have to disagree with that. I think Shador's going second round. Who do you think Giants getting in the 3rd? Saints need Shador. That's what I'm saying. If the Saints want Shador, they're going to have to trade up with the Browns. I don't know if the Browns will do that, understanding how Deshaun Watson is. But there's 3 teams that need a quarterback. That's Cleveland. That's the that's Cleveland. That's the Steelers. And that's the Saints. Those are the 3 teams that need a quarterback. Every other team has a quarterback. Heck no, Shador to the Browns. Yes, sir. I think the Saints. I think this is what I think. I think the Saints, and this will be the last topic until I end the podcast. I think the Saints, the Browns get Shador. The Saints, I I think the Steelers go with Miro, and I think the Saints maybe could go with Will Howard potentially if they want to get him that high. I don't think he's that crazy. I mean, he was with Ohio State. I mean, he had one of the best like offenses in the league. But Falcons need a QB. No, they got Michael Penix Jr. Falcons don't need need a QB. They got Michael Penix Jr. and they got Kirk Cousins there, so they don't need a QB. Thoughts on the Giants? Number one Giants fan on earth. Appreciate the follow. Or Tyler from Louisville. That's potential, Josh. But I think this is how it goes. I think it goes. Shador goes to the Browns. What if Jax traded Trevor Lawrence to Cleveland, get Shador too? Ooh, Adrian, I like that. That's a bold ass prediction. But if that happens, yo, that's crazy. What pick in the second round does the Patriots have? Second round, Patriots have. Let me give you that right now. Number 6, the 38th pick. Did the Chiefs get a good pick in the first round? I definitely think the Chiefs did get a good pick in the first round. They got Josh Simmons, offensive tackle from Ohio State. He's a monster. That's exactly what they needed. As soon after losing one of their best offensive lines to the Bears, definitely after that abysmal performance in the Super Bowl for that line, they definitely need that. Cowboys second round. What does the second round? When does the second round start? If you're in your West Coast, it starts at 5. East Coast at 7. What pick did the Vikings get in the second round? Vikings get. Hold up. Vikings, they have. I don't think they even have a pick. Unless I went past it. Yeah, the Vikings don't have a pick in the second round. They got one in round 3. And even have one in round. Yeah, they got 97th. God damn. Who's your favorite team? I'm sadly a Cowboys fan. I like our pick that we had. Appreciate the follow. AJ the Beast. Why did I just invite somebody? If I invited you, my bad. How do you feel about the Niners pick? Niners pick is not terrible. I don't mind it. Do you think Falcons can trade up into the second? It's a possibility, Jay, but I don't really believe so. Caleb, appreciate the follow. Did the Eagles get a good pick in the first round? Yeah, Eagles got a monster pick. They got one of the best deals of the draft, I think, for one at that late of a round, that late of the pick. Yeah, definitely. They got a monster pick. With the Jahad Campbell from linebacker from Alabama, that was a monster pick. That's what I'm saying. I think Jalen Miro, Caleb could potentially go to the Saints at 40. But they again, I think Pittsburgh, if they're going to go with a quarterback, they might go with Jalen Miro, and they might trade up. Pittsburgh might trade up with somebody to try to get a better pick in the second round. We'll see. Jaron, appreciate the follow. What do you think about the Browns pick, and who do you think they will get in their second picks? I think Shador's going with them at 33, and Will Johnson at 36. All right, Ray, what's the question? All right, guys, I appreciate everyone in here, but I got work at 5, so I got to be leaving soon. So I thought that Carter would go to the Browns and be paired with Garrett. And that's what I thought. I thought that was the case too, but I guess I was wrong. I'm just going to end the podcast, guys, and we could talk a little bit more after. Hold on. All right, guys, that's pretty much it for my show here on the Far Sports Pod, where everything we got is hot. I'll see you guys all on Recap Monday for Season 7, Episode 25. Enjoy the NBA playoffs tonight and the NFL draft. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.